Joe, how should I start the video? Say something random.
Jesus Christos, it's my madre.
There you have it. And now the dog's gone. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Solar System, where we help you understand the system your soul goes into. This is Moon Days with Michael. I'm your host, the World Triangle, Michael, and I am cutting out the esoteric middleman and giving you the tools you need to connect yourself right to the source. The intro out of the way, and us being on a newly designed floor of the platform, now I know what we're talking about. Constellations, more specifically, the Orion constellation. Now, that being said, we only have 3 stars left, but since this is a video of one of those 3, after this video, we only have 2 because numerics. In this episode, we're talking about Thabit, or Thabit, however you would like to, enunciate it. You guys already know the drill of this series. We're breaking down its placement, its influence, its orb, its natures, and its fortune, and giving you the understanding of what it means to have this star placed in your chart. Let's hop into it. So, Thabit can be found in 22 degrees of Gemini, and it has an orb of 150. Because it's, a little farther away than the other stars, the orb is not quite at 2 degrees. What is Thabit, and where exactly is it placed inside of the Orion constellation? Well, it is in between Scythe and Rigel, and just below the Orion Nebula, which we've talked about, Einsis, in the video over there. So with that being said, it being between the ankle and the knee, as well as being right below the sword, what is it exactly? Where does it fall into this constellation? Because it's typically not drawn on the usual hourglass figure of the Orion constellation, like, some of the other stars. But it is actually the tip of the sword, with Einsis usually being described as the sword of the Orion constellation. Thabit is more like the tip of the sword, right? The meaning behind this is its influence being more focused and harder to use. Not in the sense that it's like difficult to understand the energy or hard for you to actually feel it, but it's hard for you to use it correctly because it requires grounding and stability before you can actually go ahead and swing this around. Let's talk about its influence. So if we remember, like most of the Orion constellation having to do with war and hunting and things of that nature, Thabit is more or less the laser focus, I'm going to cut you part of the influence, right? It's the part that's actually going to hurt the most. Why? Because it's the tip of the sword. It's the part that actually makes contact. And in order for you to actually utilize this effectively, then you obviously have to understand what you're trying to do with the sword. Basically, an understanding of your own intentions for you to utilize this effectively.
What do you want?
It being the tip of the sword, people like to think of a sword as like an extension of themselves, right? Because it is. You're basically making your arms longer and sharper for you to go ahead and cut through stuff, right? How are you going to be able to use it if you are not grounded and effectively stable? Think of it like this, right? If you would like to describe the energy of Thabit as being like I gotta hyper-focus and do this, and I want to do this really bad, but you have no structure and no grounding, so you're kind of like sitting on the couch like a potato all day with this desire to do something, but you're not actually doing it. That's because even though you have the Thabit part of it figured out, you're missing everything else that comes before it. Basically, if I were to stand up and, swing a sword around, I would have to make sure that my feet are properly placed. I am holding the sword correctly. I have good form and stance, and I am focused on what I want to cut before I actually cut it. If you're missing all of those things, then Thabit energy is not even going to work very well for you, which can also determine its fortune and its misfortune. So are you going to actually focus and pay attention on what you're trying to cut or what your intentions are? Or you just kind of just sit around, wait for the feeling to hit you and try to motivate yourself? Because let's be real here. Not many people can just sit around, wait for a feeling, and then go. If you might have noticed, this isn't exactly placed in the Aries constellation. Even though that a lot of the Orion constellation has that Martian-type energy, having the feeling to actually act and do something, and having the will to actually structure yourself so you can actually do that thing, are 2 totally different things. And with that being said, let's talk about its natures, because they're very stable. Its natures are the moon, very reflective, but more so, not necessarily the reflective, reactive side, more so the stable side. Now, of course, it also has the Martian-type energy, the Mars influence, which most stars in the Orion constellation do, considering the fact that the person who made it had all things to do with war. So, the Martian energy is here to stay, whether you like it or not. But with that being said, it also has the influence of Saturn. We talked about the structure and stability before. If you don't have it, if you don't have an understanding of yourself, what you're trying to do, as well as a foundation, then none of this is going to work for you. And Thabit is just kind of be like you tried to cut something, but you had the sword sideways and the edge wasn't aligned, so that's not my fault, that's your fault, right? It's literally trying to cut something by swinging the sword sideways. Like, it doesn't work. You gotta use the edge, not the side of the sword. Like, that's how things get cut, man. What can I say? Now, with that being said, let's actually break down what Thabit means, like, the word, and actually bring that into how this star operates. So Thabit actually means the endure, like to persevere, to endure, right? And if you think about a sword, the end of the sword, the thing that you're smacking people with, is the thing that's going to take the most damage. And this is the same for you. Your intentions, your ideas, your actions, your motivations are the things that are going to be damaged the most to try to bring you down. So you're not actually doing the things that you want to do. Obviously, for you to utilize this energy properly, you have to be, one, grounded and have a good foundation and structure of what you're actually trying to do, but also realize that you're going to take some hits along the way, and you just have to persevere and endure all the damage that is being taken to you in order for you to actually consciously experience what you want and utilize and actually carry out your intentions and motivations. Otherwise, if you're not going to persevere and stick through it and see it to the end, or to the point where you've actually learned something useful, then what's the point in the first place? But yeah, with that being said, that's pretty much the beat. Thabit. I like saying it like Thabit, like, it's not like how you say it, but it's like that. Anyway, with that being said, recap, the beat can be found in 22 degrees of Gemini, has an orbit of 150, with the natures of the Moon, Mars, and Saturn. And its fortune pretty much entirely depends on you. But most importantly, the foundation, the structure. Have you actually planned everything out in the way that it's supposed to be going to be carried out? Or you just kind of go in willy-nilly, just swinging your sword around like there's no tomorrow? Like, if you have no foundation, if you have no structure, then this placement isn't going to be very good for you, because you can't swing a sword with your feet facing the wrong direction. Not how it works. With that being said, in the Orion constellation, there's only 2 more stars left to talk about, and this one's going to be next. Can't say it because I haven't picked it yet. But with that being said, since we are actually at the end of this series for the most part, make sure you guys leave a comment. Let us know if you guys want another constellational breakdown, and if so, what constellation? Simple as that. But anyways, you guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys check out the Instagram, solar systems, as well as the daily alignments. Basically breaking down every day's energy every day on the daily, giving you the awareness and understanding what's going on for that day. You're welcome. And if you guys like to request a reading, email us at readingthesolarsystems.org. And until next time, bye, y'all.